Something that a lot of people are struggling with right now is finding the right CPA. In this video, I'm going to give you 6 tips for finding the right CPA for you. Before I get into that though, I want to give you a little more insight into what's happening in the industry so you can understand the dynamics that are at play here. First of all, according to the AICPA, which is the American Institute of CPAs, there is going to be a huge problem, and it's already begun. In 2018, the AICPA said the average age of US CPAs was about 55 years old. This also meant that 75% of CPAs were going to be at or near retirement by 2019. That was 4 years ago. So obviously there's a huge shift and a lot of CPAs are retiring. I'm seeing this everywhere. A lot of firms are actually trimming clients, meaning that they are disengaging them because they can't service all of them with the lack of people available to work on them. Not only are the partners of these CPA firms retiring, but there are not as many accountants graduating from college that they can choose from. As a result on this, like many other industries, accounting firms are relying a lot more on automation and outsourcing of work. You might think that automation makes them more efficient and therefore costs shouldn't increase, but this is not the case. The reality is, because there's such a lack of workforce and they're forced to automate, which maybe they should be doing regardless to maintain efficiency, but the harsh reality of it is that they're doing it out of necessity because without taking those steps, they simply would not be able to service their clients. All of this is resulting in increasing in fees like you're seeing everywhere else as a result of inflation. All of this to say that it is getting harder to find a good qualified CPA that fits your needs, and therefore you have to look even harder and you have to know exactly what you're looking for. So these are the 6 tips that are going to help you on your way to find a CPA, especially if you're one of the many folk who's been working with someone for a long time and you found out recently that they're retiring, so you have no choice but to look for someone else. The first step is going to be assessing your needs. If you just have a W-2, maybe a brokerage statement, you don't have much going on in your tax return, then you probably don't need a really high-powered CPA firm with a ton of knowledge, because the fact of the matter is there's not as many tax-saving options for you. So you may be spending more without receiving the benefit of it. It's the same thing as if you were getting into, say, cycling. You wouldn't go and buy a $30,000 bike the first day when you're starting out. No, you'd start on a beginner bike, lower cost, maybe it's $1,000. Maybe you'd start at something that you could grow into after a year or two. Maybe you spend $1,500, $2,000, and you get used to it, you get into it, you make sure that cycling is actually what you're gonna do. And then eventually, once you've gained the experience and it makes sense, then maybe you work yourself up to that $30,000 bike. It's the same thing with taxes. You start with a CPA that makes sense and fits your needs, maybe one that you can grow into a little bit, and as your needs expand, then you can grow and maybe switch into someone that has more specific knowledge on what you need, where you'll actually reap the benefits. The second tip is to look for referrals first. So ask other business owners, ask your friends, who are they using and are they satisfied with their CPA? It's the same thing as if you're interviewing an employee for your business. Even if the interview goes exceptionally well, there's no guarantee that it's going to work out in the long term and that that employee is going to perform. Same thing with finding a CPA or anyone else. You may have a great first initial reaction, but once you start using them, maybe you run into some problems. Having someone that you know vouch for this CPA, says that they perform, they do well, and hopefully this person you're getting a referral from has similar needs as you, well, you have a much better chance of success with the CPA you pick. The third tip is if you are in a niche industry or you need specialized knowledge, make sure you find a CPA that actually has that knowledge. For example, if you're a real estate investor, you're in the real estate industry, you don't want just a CPA that has general tax knowledge, because every industry has specific nuances associated with it and potential tax strategies associated with it that a generalized tax preparer isn't going to be as aware of, and they're not going to have the resources potentially to implement those strategies. In this case, you may be paying more for something and it's actually costing you money in the form of higher taxes. The fourth tip, and this one is really important if you're growing a business or even if you're hitting retirement age and you need more assistance in different areas than you did previously, and that is you need to find a CPA that is a referral source, a CPA that has connections in the community so that when you need an attorney, for example, if you're drafting a will or a trust, you want them to be able to refer you to a qualified attorney to help with that so you don't have to spend as much time going through and vetting attorneys. Or maybe you need a financial planner, perhaps you need a broker if you're in real estate. These are all resources that a good CPA should have from working in an industry because they're going to be working with these professionals on a regular basis and they should have deep relationships with these people. This will help you build out your overall team so that you're looking at your taxes and your finances and your business on a more holistic approach rather than just singling out the taxes, which is just one piece of your entire financial aspect. The fifth tip is you need to find a CPA that asks you questions. Yes, you need to ask them questions and you need to figure out how they're responding and whether those are the right responses for you. But also, a good CPA is going to want to know what your goals are, what your specific risk tolerances are. They'll want to know about your financial situation, more details on your business. And all of this is important because they will then take that to make a tailor-made solution for you. Okay? You don't want them just packaging up and giving you a one-size-fits-all solution because oftentimes that doesn't work forever. The reality is that every single person has different goals, life circumstances, and everything else that's going to affect what the best tax moves are for them. My last tip is you want to find a CPA that actually explains things to you. So if you ask them a question or they bring something up and all they say is, oh, hey, you need an S corporation for your business. Okay. Ask them why you need an S corporation for the business. Test their knowledge and make sure you have an understanding of why you're doing it. A lot of times CPAs just say things and frankly, they don't know how to speak in layman's terms to actually explain it to people so they understand what's happening. You want someone that says, okay, this is why you need an S corp. It's going to do this for you. This is either the tax reason or maybe there's a non-tax reason. And then you can determine, okay, does that make sense based on what I know? Maybe there's something I haven't told the CPA that would help them make a better decision. So you could say, okay, well, that assumption that you just made, that's actually not accurate. Really, this is what's happening. And then they can either change course and say, yeah, you're right. Then in this case, maybe you do this other entity type or whatever the situation is. Or maybe they say, yeah, this is still the best option. You should still be an S corp, and you can move forward knowing that you have a good understanding of it. Keep these tips in mind. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe and watch the other videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.